sta solo Tevez salito dell'area, ma fuori tutti Tevez, si apre la porta Tevez, gol, da dietro, Pirlo dentro,
Good morning, Juventini. Welcome back to the All Juve Cast channel, where, of course, it's all Juve all the time, and we've got a Grease Fest to talk about. And unfortunately, Grease Fest Juventus was not on the winning end for, unfortunately, dropping the match 2-1 to Genoa. Now, of course, you've got mixed feelings amongst the fan base on this one. A meaningless match, really, in the grand scheme of things for Juventus, but is it truly meaningless when you're about to go into a Coppa Italia Final against one of the teams above you and you haven't beat any of those teams above you? We're going to get into all of that today. And I've got Lucci joining me today, as well as Lex, and we're going to tackle this one. That tag's amazing. Lucci.
I think before Dan gets all pissy, I might just change it.
And we've got I gotta apologize for the difficulties getting started. It is on me, 150%. I'll take all the blame on that one. But we've got Jeremy right out of the gate. I'm really disappointing. Also, beating Bob too. The first comment of the live today was Jeremy with that. Bob, what says anyways? Good morning. Yes, Sal. This is the most mad I've been about a game in a while. Wow. All right. Mohammed, good morning. Is Nedved joking or serious about calling Moise Kean a talent? Ooh.
Definitely serious.
We'll get into Moise Kean. There's shockers, and then there's the game Moise Kean had yesterday. So we'll get into all that. Yeah, that's shocking stuff. But let's get into it, shall we?
Sure.
Let's kick it off with the lineup. Obviously, you have Coppa Italia on Wednesday, the final. We know we want to get this thing going, and we got to win this trophy. We got to at least get that job done, right? So when we look at this and we look at Juventus coming into this one, we were thinking, a decent mix, but you still got to get these guys firing, and you still want some of your main guys in there to get some confidence. That was the biggest thing you wanted out of this match. Get your confidence so you could take that into that final, okay? So if we look at this, Juve, they went out with Szczesny in goal, Quadrado, Bonucci, Rugani, and De Sciglio across the back, Arthur Moretti and Rabiot in the middle, Dybala, Vlahovic, Kean up top. I had no issues with this lineup. You got Moretti in there again. You thought Arthur was going to be in the heart of this 4-3-3. Moretti would be as this Mezzala, and we could see, if he can put something together. We got into a little bit of a disagreement on whether or not this guy could potentially see minutes if he could back up the game. That's Moretti. The biggest thing for me is he also gives you something some of these other guys aren't going to be able to give you in the midfield. I even think that was evident in yesterday's match, but we'll get into all that as well. Lineups, I had no problems with it. My thing was easy. Stay healthy, get Vlahovic some goals so he can at least go into that final ripping. That's all I thought. That's all I wanted. I wanted to keep it simple. Main thing, no injuries, but get this guy some goals, get him firing. What did you guys think lineup wise? Again, a meaningless match in terms of standings, but let's go. Lex, kick us off.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I felt like it was a decent lineup. 4-3-3 looked like the shape as well, and I was happy about that. And didn't expect what happened to happen. I was happy to see Moretti starting again. As you said, he offers us, brings us something different to our midfield. So, yeah, I had no problems to start. How about you, Luca?
Well, I mean, look, what with a lineup like that, I mean, there's not much you could really expect. We've seen this season that it could either go one way or the other. Clearly, yesterday it went the other way, but I'm not going to start nitpicking that starting 11. Like you should win that game. You're playing Genoa. You should win that game. There's no excuses here. So that's my thought from the start.
All right. So simply no excuses, but that lineup, I mean,
Oh, it's brutal. Oh, it's
I don't-
absolutely brutal.
Is it though?
I didn't think
Yeah.
it was that bad.
Is it brutal? How is it brutal?
That
DeCilio
I'm
on the
looking at
left,
that back line
DeCilio's
and I get
actually
nervous.
been fine this season. So
Okay.
DeCilio's been fine this season. Rugani's been good this season.
Yes, Rugani
Bonucci,
and Bonucci
Quadrado
do
as
not-
right back. In the middle, you have Rabiot. He's not going anywhere. So he's on the left side. Miretti gets to follow up a solid performance, the one before. Artur's just back from injury. If there's any thoughts, again, McKennie's still out. Locatelli's out. All these guys are out. If Artur's back in, you want to get him some minutes. You don't want to just throw him into a Coppa final if he's going to be the guy that's playing there. That makes sense too. Miretti gets to back up his performance. Dybala, Vlahovic, and Keane. Resting Morata because he's definitely going to be going, in my opinion, against Inter. Keane gets his goal. Dybala's up there with Vlahovic. Vlahovic, you want him firing. I didn't see any problems with it. I don't know how we say it's brutal.
I'm not
It's what we
saying-
have.
It's what we have, but doesn't mean it's good. For Juventus standards, that was shocking. That's a shocking lineup, except for maybe 2 or 3 players in there that should be there. But
That is
like I
very
said,
close to like our best, though. So like I guess it's
because
just
that's all
we're
we've
brutal.
seen all season. That's how low the bar is, Al. Like if you're okay with Rugani and
I mean, you're missing Locatelli and Zakaria, and Morata's like not the be all end all. So that's
last time
pretty
Rugani
shocking.
was in this team as a first team player, and he played any game with Bonucci, it was shambles. We're looking back at Sadi's season, shambles those two together. So for me to see it again, I got nervous just thinking about it. That's a terrible pairing.
All right,
Either
all
way,
right, okay.
Either way, let's continue.
Okay, so that's our lineup. We go into this one again. We're gonna tackle the highlights here real quick. And I use the term highlights very loosely because what we're gonna watch is some complete madness from Moise Keane, but that's another thing. And quick reminder for everyone that tunes into the podcast on your audio outlets, get over to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Okay, all subscribers automatically entered to win a Wave Vlahovic kit, which we're going to give away next week. Okay, so yeah, get over here, subscribe. Everybody in the live right now, you guys are already on fire, and I absolutely love it. But take the time to like the video, please. Makes a big difference. Now, let's get into the highlights, okay? Or the Moise Keane shit show. So, we'll kick it off. Here's number 1 on the shit show. Missed header. Dybala with a great ball with his off foot, right-footed, putting it there. Keane runs on the defender's back, and this one's it's got to be put in. It's got, at the bare minimum, you have got to put this one on target. Moyes does not. Give him the benefit of doubt. It's early in the game, but really, no. It's got to get in there. Luca,
Great ball by Dybala. Just gonna say that. Just to like
yes,
in
yes.
there somewhere.
Great ball. I know where you're already going.
Oh,
with
it's
this.
okay. Just
We'll get
making
into
sure.
that.
Yep.
Okay. Now you have Portanova, I think, just taking a rip from distance. Szczesny's able to parry this one away and whatnot. So it's a little bit back and forth here. Here you have Keane actually doing a fantastic job, okay? He actually gets back off of this one. I think there was a rebound. It popped over. He fought back. He won it. And Dybala's in prime spot here. He finds him. And this was a hell of a rip. Again, off-footed. So right-footed. Absolutely darts this one into the corner. Sirigu can't get there, and 1-0 lead for Juve, and it's looking good. So, Luca, go ahead.
Am I the only one that still sees the first image, Lex?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on the third one here.
Yeah, mine's still the first image.
Still on the first.
God
Okay,
darn it.
hold on a second.
Let
me fix this.
Let's
here.
retry this. This is real technical issues, guys.
Now
This is what we talk about. Like, this is why it takes a while to set up, because these things need to
You know what? The highlights are gone.
No. All that work. Right up. Honestly, they might have saved us a little bit of like heartache, because that was hard to watch.
You have to
You know what? Yeah.
I don't think anybody wants
man.
to see that.
That's brutal. Brutal. They're gone. So basically, what Chrome is doing is telling us that these highlights were such a mess that nobody should even have to watch these. So that's basically what they're saying. I could try again real quick, but I think this is a sign probably.
Give it another whirl just for the sake of doing it. And if it doesn't work, it's a sign. Very simple.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody wants to relive
Let's
it.
discuss them anyway. So you have the 1-0 lead, okay? And I'll just go through them from here. Man, Dybala starts us off. That's fantastic stuff. Sirigu can't get there. Awesome rip. Now, Juventus continues on. You have another rip from Dybala working on his own, basically, off the right flank. Okay, slaps it with his left right off the post. Could have been 2 there. You have continued on another opportunity from Moise Kean. This one comes off a cross in, I believe, from Vlahovic. Low there. No, sorry, it wasn't Vlahovic, but low to the goal line. In front. This is a bang play. Kean 6 yards out, puts it in, and right at the keeper, unfortunately. No goal there. Then you have Vlahovic battling hard down low. He somehow dribbles his way through like 3 guys, fires this thing, but right at the keeper. You could see the frustration in his eyes, trying to bury that one and couldn't. This one, there was one here with Moise Kean again. Moise Kean. He's standing at around the spot. Dybala is the one that plays this one through. It gets dummied by Vlahovic, and Moise is just standing there to direct this thing on goal, and he directs it straight up into the stands, and he could have had a little playoff, a little touch. There was a little touch possibility for Vlahovic as he was peeling off his defender, but it's hard to tell forwards not to shoot in that scenario, but they have to execute much better than that. And he just skies this one. Then you get DeScilio losing his man. Okay, right behind him, in on goal. It gets played through, and this is actually a nice finish. 1-1, and then from there, you really don't get much out of Juve other than a breakaway. Morata running free. Okay, steals this ball here. I gotta say, there's nothing wrong with passing off to the trailing run. Obviously, you see this play a number of times, and we were joking about it in the green room before we even came out here. If you see Kean is the guy that you're gonna set up after this game, just maybe take a go yourself. But no, in all honesty, I see this out there on social media, and everybody was ripping him for this play. Like, just have the guts to take it yourself and finish the play. Sure, he could have. What he did is a much higher percentage play, okay? You hit the trailing run. It's an open net. Now I have to explain to my daughter how on earth a player can miss this opportunity. But Moise Kean, he's got the entire goal. I wish, actually, I don't wish, because we shouldn't see this again. It hurts me staring at this. The goal is wide open.
Your daughter would have scored that.
He has one player in front of him. That's more to the right side of the goal if you're staring at it, his left, and he tries to put it to his left. He just passed that in the goal. This is shocking stuff. He limps afterwards. We found out today he's got obviously a knock. He's in jeopardy for the Coppa Final, and that probably maybe affected that. But even with a broken foot, you can hit that freaking goal. It's just a pass. And if you can't pass, why did you not get subbed off? Like, if you just can't even complete a pass, because that's not even a shot. It requires a pass to goal. Regardless. Whatever. We move on. 1-1. DeScilio with some clumsy, shocking stuff. Obviously, now he's on the right side because Sandro entered the match. Sandro went over to the left side. Here you have he's got a defender directly in front of the player. He fouls. Like, what are we doing here? Anyways, piss poor. It's a PK, and Criscito steps up and drops it, and that's the end. Okay, so 2-1 loss for Juventus, and here we are. At the end, you have the fans again split. Meaningless game. means nothing. We're going to start there because I don't like thinking games are relevant, even if they are mathematically speaking, or even in terms of no gain from third to fourth, anything like that. It's a matter of momentum. It's a matter of growth. It's a matter of pride. It's a sense of pride. Like Juventus, if you think back to the decade of dominance, I'm going to use this because it's the most recent great, Juve squads and whatnot, because I can go even further beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless if leagues have been in the bag or anything like that, it still always was about winning. It was that sense of pride. It was the players took pride in still getting the job done, always winning. I see just out of these guys, these players, just not enough. There's not enough there, and now it makes you second guess throughout this season, even guys on good performances, if we are making the right decision and even extending them, even if they have been good, because it's just like nothing's changing in terms of identity, in terms of mentality. And I'm not seeing the growth there with that section of this team. And that's probably the most frustrating, because regardless of if the game meant nothing, it still shouldn't be acceptable to play in such a manner and execute so poorly. And it's just, I'm starting to get this feeling life is far too easy for players at Juventus to be, subpar and get away with it. So whether right now it's injuries that lead to that and we're just not good enough, whether Max needs time, whether it's all this, I hate feeling like games are irrelevant and using that as an excuse. So we're going to change this discussion today. We're not going to talk about, this guy and that guy or the coach and like all this. We kind of are, but I'm going to kind of lead it in questions. Okay. And that's what I really want to do. And everybody that's on the live, I want you to kind of take part too. And we're going to kind of change the discussions, because if we want to get into blaming coaches, blaming players, we can have a loose discussion to start this before I get into the directed questions. This one, yesterday, Moise Kean single-handedly can finish this game off and doesn't. I struggle to put that one on Max, because at the end of the day, we're not talking about half chances. We're talking about high percentage chances that have to be finished. Kean could have finished this one alone, and he didn't execute. Execution was a problem last season for Pirlo as well. Guys, Lex, why don't you kick us off? What are your thoughts on this game, even though it was meaningless in the grand scheme of things? And, how do you feel personally?
I feel like, although people have kind of pointed to it, as you mentioned, as it being essentially an irrelevant game, given that we've clinched top four, I agree with you, Al. Like, I still think it's important to the team's pride and giving momentum for the final, even momentum going into next season and going into the summer transfer window. I think like having that type of game where our players, like you said, just aren't finishing off chances that could put the game away for us, when our whole team is just has this sit back like mentality. Like, we don't take the game to the other team, even though we're playing a relegation side. When you see players like Vlahovic that look just frustrated and dejected, like, that's just not a picture you want to see, regardless if the game is meaningful or not. I mean, I kind of looked to even Napoli playing against Sassuolo. That was essentially a meaningless game, and they put 6 past them. And it's like, I would love to see our team just go out and put like 5 goals past a team that we are clearly capable of doing that against. So for me, it was just kind of, like you said, more or less the same, like the mentality of the team overall. We see problems with that mentality and being able to execute as a team that kind of carry over from last season. Although Kean could have put the game away, I still point to just the approach to the game overall, like as we've seen many times this season. And I know we don't want to make it like a bashing on Max Allegri session again, but like once again, another kind of game that I still put on overall approach. And then, like you said, lack of mentality, lack of precision from our players. It's too easy for our players. We have to expect a higher level at Juve.
It's got a
There
point.
you go. There you
Got a
go.
good point.
Luca, what are your thoughts and feelings after yesterday?
I don't even know what I think you guys touched everything. I mean, I'd just be repeating the major points. I think everyone understands how we feel. I think everyone almost feels the same. Do we point our fingers to one man? I mean, shit. You watch yesterday's game, you can't just point it at one person. The entire team was absolutely terrible. You know, that first half, I think our best player in the first half was the Frenchman. I have to admit it. Like, Lou's going to have my head for it, but Rabiot was our best player in the first half. That sums up the entire game. By second half, things switched a bit, obviously, but I mean, you can't help but look at the entire season now that we're at the end. And I want to make it very clear that in my mind, as a Juventus fan, I'm young, right? I'm part of the younger generation. I will admit I've missed a lot of Juventus's good golden years, like the historical years. I only hear about them. I never witnessed them. But I know as a fact that as a Juventus fan, I think it was Boniperti that said it, winning is not important, is the only thing that matters. So I don't want to hear this nonsense about, oh, it's a useless game. No, I don't care what game it is. It could be a friendly. Winning is the only thing that matters in this club. And if you do not embody that, go sit on the bench. Very simple. And that goes for the staff, the coach, and the players. That's just my way of thinking.
Yeah. So here's the thing is I see in the comments here, we've got a lot coming in on Allegri, like Allegri, leave Keane alone, leave that. Look, here's the thing. Take Keane out of the equation. I don't care who the player is, okay? If you have that many clear-cut chances, you have to finish. At the end of the day, Max or Pirlo last season, or sorry, this season, these guys aren't on the pitch, okay? I need more out of these players at Juventus, okay? That's the bottom line. You come out of this match with that many clear-cut opportunities, okay? And you're left with one goal, which was an absolute dart from 24 yards out from Paulo Dybala. That's simply not good enough. That's not good enough, okay? It isn't good enough. So we want the better team play. Of course we want better team play. What's that going to do if these guys are executing in such poor fashion? Just mean that we miss even more opportunities? Come on. At the end of the day, you're not going to walk into every single match and get 30 scoring opportunities and do all that. At the end of the day, these guys have to finish the goals, okay? They got to bury and score. And take Keane out of the equation. Go down the list of this season. You've seen Cuadrado miss an absolute pass to the goal in a match earlier that hurt Juventus. You've seen Vlahovic not be critical in moments that he's had to, okay? Is like, we have to stop babying the players. I get it that we have frustrations with Max. I have frustrations with Max, okay? I've been shouting, from the rooftop saying, I think we need more structure offensively and I think we need to do this. But at the end of the day, in a game like this where you still get the opportunities, high percentage opportunities, how do you turn that on the coach? We have to be serious here. Whether we could have played better, sure, we could have played better. But at the end of the day, we played good enough to win that, and these guys couldn't put it home. And look, here's where the Max thing comes into play for me. Not because everybody's trying to turn this into how we played yesterday. That's not the part that concerns me. That's not the part that concerns me is how we played yesterday. Not that. What concerns me is, and I've been vocal about this for a while too, is you have a manager that manages the season. He manages the calendar. And I can't help but feel that sometimes that leaks into this mentality. And it's like, okay, yeah, we've got this one next. We're going to try to coast this one, and then we can look at this one a little bit more intensely. And there's like this up and down in turning it on and off type thing. But overall, the problem as well, does it get much better with all our best players out there? Does it get much better with all our best players out there?
But you can't answer that question. And this goes back to my original, like way before about the starting lineup. We haven't seen like our best players in a proper lineup. We've had Chiesa out since November. That's easily one of our best players. We got Weston that went out after being on a great form. Then now Locatelli went down. Like these are pillars that went down. So we've never seen this team at its absolute best. Like we haven't seen Chiesa and Vlahovic. I think everybody would have given a left arm for that. So like you said,
we went 4-2-3-1 against Inter in probably our best matchup.
Yeah.
We had Locatelli and Rabiot as pivots. We had Cuadrado, Morata as wingers, Dybala behind Vlahovic. We even had Sandro on the pitch, okay? And it was our best performance as a team, okay?
We still lost. What does that
exactly.
tell you? What does that tell you?
But in terms of the game, it was spectacular. Should we have lost? Probably not. 22 attempts, 5 on target. Inter had 5 attempts all game.
That's probably the only game I'm okay
and we played on the throttle.
That's old Juventus where it's like, okay, we lost, but we put it out on the field. At least you can lose with dignity.
The thing that's concerning for me is, if we're looking at this, and this is why I'm saying Max has questions to be answered, but in this game yesterday, these guys have to finish it. Overall, big picture, season long, it doesn't look much better with our best guys. And, it can, and it has in flashes. We're talking about a season where we've played probably five strong games. That's just unacceptable in terms of looking at it as team play. Okay. That's just not, it's not acceptable. Is it going to change with the players? Here's the thing. Can we honestly say we can expect way more out of this group of players? I don't think we can expect way more. I think we can expect more, but way more? Is Max has he completely underachieved with this?
Lex?
It's tough. This one's a tough one. Given the injuries.
Yes or no. Just answer the question.
I still stand by that he has underachieved, in my opinion.
Okay.
Big time with our team.
What do you think? I'm curious.
I mean, from results to just, as you mentioned before, just looking at, like, you can probably count on one hand the strong, solid team performances that we had this season. And I know that there were injuries, but as you said before, did we really even see it when we had those few times we did have our strongest squad out there?
No.
I don't think so. I think that there is still players that, especially that have been carrying over for a couple seasons now that have just either underperformed or haven't been up to standards for our club, which I get. I get that there's players like that too, but I kind of just go back to my same point that I've been making, whereas I don't see our best players excelling. And that's probably what's most frustrating is like, and we haven't really gotten to see that this season either. So like, that's what I would point to if we're looking at whether or not he over or underachieved with our squad this season, is that he definitely underachieved with getting the best out of our strong guys. Right. So I don't know, Luca, you got anything to add?
But here's the thing.
Here's the thing. Before, so
last season, Morata gets over 20 goals. Cristiano Ronaldo scores 30-something goals, right?
Cuadrado 20-something assists.
Chiesa was playing great. 4th place, guys, and needed help. So are we looking at like, okay, we get more out of these guys as a team. Are we going to achieve more? It doesn't necessarily translate to achieving more, though. That's the thing, is like, are we well beyond a 4th place team right now? If I'm looking at that roster and I see these games play out like this, where these guys, like, it's the usual suspects, like Morata's like hit and miss. You never know what you're going to get. Like, he's either going to do something great or his work rate's always there, and bless his heart for that. But honestly, it's never that. Moise Kean has been brutal this season. Okay, so let's even throw yesterday out of let's throw that one away. The rest of the season, he's been brutal. Okay,
terrible.
He's been brutal.
Yeah.
Vlahovic is clearly frustrated. He is clearly and evidently frustrated. You can read that body language 3 million miles away.
If he's frustrated, the question is whether he's frustrated himself or with the coach or with the team. It doesn't matter. He's frustrated either way. You could tell.
Regardless of why he's frustrated. But the thing is, and I've said this before, I didn't want to go too hard because I didn't want people to think like I'm singling him out or picking on him or doing anything like that. But there has been opportunities where I expect Vlahovic to finish, and he hasn't. He's frustrated in himself as well. Make no mistake.
Oh yeah, because he's been playing terrible.
Whether the service is not there, which we can all agree, whatnot, he still expects more. Okay, this guy came in. We talked about it. Pick number 7. You think he didn't know what that was going to mean or what that was going to do or whatnot? He knew 1,000% what he was doing there.
Yeah.
If we think back, Arriva Bene should have never opened his mouth in terms of the project thing and the Dybala thing right after all that unfolded, because he just added even more to Vlahovic. And even though that's the case and we knew he was going to be this new focal point and stuff, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. There's been an awkwardness there. It's even awkward watching Paulo play with the armband, knowing he's moving on.
There's so much weirdness.
There's so much awkwardness.
Especially after all the reports, like the rumors, and it was just, yeah.
There's so much awkwardness. Now, in terms of Max, obviously he's not free of criticism. I mean,
Has he underachieved, Al? Answer your own question. I'm curious.
We play disjointed. We play disjointed football. And the problem is we can't get it done systematically. Okay? Because our system changes from game to game. And this is another one of these game manager things, because I think it's almost more difficult that way. I look at it like, if we look at this season as a whole and you look at what Juventus has done, there's been a ton of injuries. Okay? But I don't want to get into why. I just want to get into what I see and why I think it's more. It was such a struggle to watch and struggle for them to play. All these lineups have changed constantly. They never play the same. They're always playing a different game. And I think that's a detriment to a team, because how on earth we were talking about this going into the Coppa Final. You're looking for momentum. You're looking for something to gain, to go into that game feeling confident. Confidence. That should be the biggest thing. Confidence. This team lacks confidence from even some of the top guys. And why? It's because we have constantly gone into games and treated them almost like one-offs. And it's not like this continuation of work. This season feels like every game is something new.
That's perfectly said regarding our season. And I think that's where that's where my biggest concern comes from, going into the transfer window this summer, going into next season, is it's May and I still haven't seen any idea of, like you said, what is our identity? What are we doing? It feels like you said, every game is just something new. It's disjointed in our game plan. It's disjointed when we're on the field. It's like we're just trying to get by to the next match. Okay, now we try something different. We'll get by this game and move on to the next match, right? And I feel like this season, we're at a point right now with our team and with our coach and everything, our project overall, where we are in a rebuilding phase. So sometimes you have to accept that we're not going to finish as high as we might want to. But the fact that I haven't seen anything that we're building on.
Oh,
that's my biggest concern, is that sometimes this season feels like a bit of a wash, because I haven't seen anything concrete in terms of our project and our overall goal.
Yeah.
I applaud that. Put Ryan's comment back up here for a second.
No, because I don't want to get into the comparison of coach to coach.
Ryan, that's 2 days, buddy.
We need to move on. We need to start comparing Allegri to Allegri. So Lex, great comments and thoughts. Basically, piggybacking off on what I started, which is, and Luca, now I want to get your thoughts. Do you feel that way? I feel it's so broken, disjointed, because every single game feels like something new and like we're not growing.
There's no continuity at
all. Continuation.
No, I mean, look, you could single out injuries. You can make up the excuses that we've got a busy schedule.
We can't ignore those. No, we have to be honest. You can't ignore them. It's been an insane amount.
Right, you can't, and that is perfectly fine. But when you have the resources there to work around that, like it's not like we're not one of the top clubs in Italy with major financial back. We are. So like I refuse to allow that excuse to be our only scapegoat. Like, okay, there's been no continuity in that midfield besides one man. Blame the injuries all you want. Max has done everything to avoid, like until the last 2 games, avoid using our youth players, right? Like I've seen the training videos. I've seen these guys train with some of the U23s or some of the younger prospects. They're there all the time training with the first team. So there is some sort of chemistry being built there in training. Why was that not brought onto the field? Why did we rather force? And I know this is going to be controversial in a sense because Danilo did a great job as midfielder. We know that. But why would you force him to play that role and then put someone like De Sciglio in his place when you could have just slid in the younger guy way earlier in the season when we were down a few midfielders? And, keep Danilo in his spot where he shines, right? Because, yes, again, De Sciglio does okay in his job. Danilo did okay in that job, but we could do better. Danilo starts over MDS in the right back. We know that, 100%. That's a given, right? But then why can't you start the young guy in midfield? Why can't you bring that continuity that you're building in training onto the pitch and continue that rather than having a new midfield trio every second week, and using a defender in the midfield? Of course, you're not going to have continuity when you're making these silly decisions. And now, what frustrates me the most of all this is that now that Max decides to change, he's just basically going against everything he just did. Like you stuck it in our minds that you're stubborn, and now yesterday, the game before, you're willing to just throw that all out the window, and we're still terrible. Like it's absolutely mind-boggling that he's just changing his mind now, and it's still. Absolutely, it's the worst time to do it. It's garbage. Absolutely garbage. If it wasn't for the other teams being crap, we wouldn't have gotten top 4. It sounds like last year all over again.
I know.
So I want to wrap that up.
It's a tough one though. It's like, I mean, we're acknowledging there's been a ton to juggle, a lot to juggle in terms of the personnel and everything like that. The biggest thing, Sal kind of nailed it because I kind of have that feeling. And I had that feeling a while ago where you get tired of hearing, we need this player, we need that player, when we need a clear identity.
Exactly.
We've lost ourselves in this transition, and that's normal. So we can't act like as if this isn't normal. This team has been transitioning for a couple seasons. Obviously, we didn't tough it out with either one of those previous managers. That's a whole different story, which has been tackled to death. The thing is, you have to establish that right out of, you have to establish that with the players you have. And the thing with me, going back to how I feel about this team this season, is it's a constant change, is that nothing's been established. And we're not trying, we're almost not trying to find our players' roles and fit them in. We're also not trying to force them into an identity and try to find them into an identity. It's almost like we're caught in between, not knowing what we want to do.
Just getting through games. That's all we're doing.
I'm just, that's almost what it feels like.
That's all it is. Just going with the process. You're not thinking long-term. You're just looking down and thinking one step at a time. No, look towards the end.
It literally feels like it's at all costs, just get that 4th, and then let's hit the summer, do a little cleanup, and then maybe look beyond. But this team has to establish an identity. regardless of what it is. I think, I've been speaking out lately. I just feel like it's been really way too easy for players at Juve for some time, just cushy contracts, all this. It looks like Arriva Bene and Cherubini are doing their part in cleaning that up, which is great. That's part of the battle. Bringing in guys that are quality, that's part of the battle. But you really got to put it together on the pitch. And, overall, am I concerned? We talked about this in the match day a lot. Concerned about Vlahovic? No, absolutely not. I'm not concerned. But you can't have him going into matches already almost psyching himself out or just leaving them feeling so disjointed like he was yesterday. It's like, at the end of the day, you got to look for alternatives, better ways to get him firing, because you need this guy to be confident. This guy was battling for Capocannoniere. Next season, I expect him to be in the Capocannoniere race again. He absolutely has to be. We got to put it together, because at the end of the day, you could bring in all the best players in the world, and PSG is a prime example of bringing in a great, highly paid, talented roster and accomplishing absolutely nothing with it. You have to be able to put them together. You have to have that identity, and it has to be shared. When I watch these players play, it's almost like everybody has their own idea. There's very little synchronicity, and we saw that a ton yesterday in terms of through balls and passing and whatnot, and they're not on the same page.
I want Lex's thoughts on this. I just want to. I'm gonna say something. You feed off. When I heard that Max was coming back, and I'm sure a lot of people felt this way. A lot of people were optimistic in the sense that, okay, some people were saying he'll win us the league, whatever it's done. He's going to wrap it up. And some others are saying, okay, even if it's a tough year for him, he'll establish something, some base, because that's what he's good at. He's good at bringing back this mentality that he had. Now, I don't know about you guys. Not only has he not won the league, which, I mean, okay, that was a big hope, but he hasn't established anything. I haven't seen anything concrete been established since he started. Like we've said it. Has he gotten the best out of players? Has anybody improved under him? Not really. I mean,
that was your last season. Yeah, no.
Exactly. So I want your thoughts. Do you think anything has been established with Max? Has anything improved? Are we in a better position now than we were last season at this time?
And this is a great question for everyone in the live too. Okay, yep. Let's just look at this. Give us something that has improved under Max.
Lex is going to start. You guys in the chat just pump them. One positive.
I can't. I honestly, I can't. I don't.
Come on, one, Lex. Come on, just one.
Well, we had some of our weaker link players step up in important moments. Like we've discussed a lot this season about MDS and Rugani. Certain moments or certain games kind of playing up to what we didn't think they could, right? Like we had discussions on our pod about the whole the contract renewal and whatnot for those guys. So I would say that would be positive. I would take away. Otherwise, it's I don't know. Like you said, I personally still feel like I don't have any, I don't think we built up anything. I would say maybe management, despite injuries at times when we had kind of a lot of guys out. Maybe I'm grasping at straws here. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It really does.
So here's the trade-off. Because we got some people coming in for the live. So Mirgan's saying that the defense has been improved, also game management. I think to some degree game management. Defense, yeah. I'll concede defense.
Slightly.
I think we're a little bit more solid.
Slightly.
Rugani's improved. Dell saying he doesn't give Max credit often, but Rabiot is a big plus for him, I think.
He has improved. Yeah.
But this is just it, right? So it's like if you look at the guys that have improved, because he has had players improve, Deschilio, Rugani, Rabiot, and everything.
But are these guys we want to improve?
The flip side
guys
is
I want on my team. Why are they improving? Are we going to sell them?
The flip side is your top guys aren't killers.
They're worse than last year.
Now, when you get into the top guys, is that execution? Is it them? The truth is, it's a bit of both.
With
It's a bit of both.
Vlahovic,
They still have executed subpar. Our best have still executed subpar. You can argue the system doesn't put them in opportunities to succeed, and I wouldn't disagree with you. But as we saw last year, even with guys scoring good amount of goals, Morata, Chiesa, even Kulusevski doing way better than he did this season, whatnot, they still missed an absurd amount and couldn't kill teams off when they had to. And there's still some, and that to me is like, it's still mentality. There's still mentality. These guys still have to get to that point where you're ready to dig deep, to basically die out there on the pitch at all costs to get the job done. If you haven't sealed the deal, you don't go into shutdown mode like all this. And if you're saying, well, Max is closing them off, he wants to seal this game and not concede and everything like that, you're still getting counterattacking opportunities. You're still out there on the pitch. There's lapses in this team that continue to happen for the past 3 years that cost us points and games.
And I don't disagree, but I think Vlahovic is a big point that I just want to touch on, because I think that the way the teams above us this season dropped points in this final stretch, if we were serious and we got a striker like Vlahovic in January and we had him firing, we should have pushed for the Scudetto. And I strongly stand by that. And I think that with Vlahovic, you have to compare, I think, to Ronaldo's situation. Because a lot of people say, oh, Pirlo had Ronaldo. Well, Max had Ronaldo too. And Max had Ronaldo in a season. Ronaldo had his lowest goal-scoring season at Juventus under Max Allegri. And I think that it may have been, I don't know if it was his lowest ever or one of his lowest ever, but it was definitely not his best in terms of goal scoring. And I think that I seriously believe that when he found out that Allegri was coming back this season, he got out of town. I think he saw the writing on the wall and left. Whether or not he ended up at a better place with the situation going on at Man U,
no.
We won't get into that. But I genuinely think that, and if it was difficult for a seasoned striker, world class, probably best player, right, best striker of all time with Ronaldo, then how is it going to be for a young striker, right, who's trying to establish himself and is now experiencing some confidence issues and issues that he didn't have when he was at Fiorentina? And I think I also do agree and will concede that playing for Juventus is different. 100%. There's more pressure. And I also think there's a lot of pressure on him just because of the fact that we create so little that a lot of it probably feels on his shoulders to get us goal scoring opportunities and to get us goals. But I will say that you have to look at that. You have to look at what a striker like Ronaldo felt like playing under our system when we had Max back with Ronaldo, I believe in 2018-19.
Well, the thing is, that was speculated to death. And honestly, I think it came down to the fact that Max, and he was right. He was right, in my opinion, if this is true, because it was speculated that he took away responsibilities from Ronaldo because he wanted to turn it more into a team and get rid of this reliance on one individual. He was 1000% right. If that's the move he wanted to make, I will stand behind that because everybody could see it. And it was we were never going to grow if that's the team we want to be. I also think what we're seeing since is a little bit of that aftermath, because you have a bunch of players that have almost turned into followers, and there's nobody grabbing the bull by the horns on the pitch and taking this team across the finish line. And whether that's Vlahovic, and you can factor in age, you can factor in whatever you want, there is nobody on that pitch that's gripping this team and saying, I'm going to put you on my back and take you there, other than De Ligt and Chiellini. And other than that, there's nobody from the mid further that's taken this team on their back and going there. This is why I say it's a mentality thing, because, and this doesn't get fixed overnight. So you could talk about stats. You could throw all the stats you want. The fact is, in Ronaldo's lowest goal scoring season, we still won the double. Okay. This is why I bring this up. I even brought it up earlier and said, who cares ultimately? Last year, Morata was thriving. Chiesa was thriving. Ronaldo scored 30 plus goals. We needed help from another team to seal up fourth place. So ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't care if the guy scores 10 as long as we're winning. It comes down to winning games. Why do we lose a lot of these games? These players don't have confidence. They don't have what it takes, in my personal opinion. We have a roster that is mentally weak. He has to repair that. That's the hardest thing to repair. That's the hardest thing to repair. We see flashes here and there, but who are the guys spearheading it? Danilo, De Ligt. Chiellini's going to be gone this season.
Yeah, he's gone.
These are the guys that are spearheading it.
Dybala, to a certain extent, this season pulled us through. There were games that we looked like nothing without him. Let's just say it how it is. When he was injured and we had no Chiesa in attack and still no Vlahovic at one point, this team had no attacking presence. He drove us in so many games.
Attacking presence is not mentality. I'm talking about the mentality, the ability to pick your team up, to pick that team up and carry them and guide them and lead them and drive them and hold players accountable. This team, life is way too easy at Juventus. I've been, like I was saying that yesterday, like it's too easy. We need a general in the middle of the park. Okay. We need a general in the middle of the field, and we need that guy up top. And it's too early to call on it for Dusan. And this is why you still need, and it's the one thing Morata can help with, I thought, since he was going to be this, but even Morata himself lacks in that because of his mentality. I think you still need, in all three phases, defense, midfield, and up top, the guys that are going to be those spearheads. Vlahovic right now is frustrated in a lot of things because he puts a lot on himself and there's a lot coming from the team, but I think he'll get there. I think he'll get there 100%, but we need that. This is lacking big time in this team. This team has become a bunch of followers, and we need the guys to like spearhead them and guide them. We've seen the clips. We've seen Chiellini standing there on the sidelines with Allegri. You think they're not talking about the same thing? This team has a lot of rebuilding to do. Before you even want to get into attack and all this and gameplay, you got to fix this because these players have zero confidence.
Yeah.
So who does that come down to now? Because again, this comes back to what I said before. When Max was announced, I was certain of the fact that he would bring at least some sort of winning mentality, because that's what he was. Doesn't matter how he did it, whether it was ugly or pretty, Max got us to win. And he did it for a while. Even when he left, like you said, one of our worst seasons, he still got the double. So if he can't do that now, is it only on him, or is it just the players, like Sadi said? Are they just unable to be put in this position? Are they untrainable? Are they lacking? Are they unable to be put in that mentality? Because, I mean, look, there's a lot of players that are still here from when Max was last in charge. Let's be very honest. So we can't start saying that we have a new roster. No, a lot of these guys were here when Max was around, and they had that winning mentality, but they're just not showing it. MDS yesterday had no winning mentality. Keane did not have a winning mentality yesterday. They were both here last time Max was around. So if we have a coach who used to have this mentality come back with players that we know had this mentality still around, where's the disconnect? What is not being...
But that's another issue, though.
Like, what's happening?
Because if we're going to talk about this is the thing. This is another issue. Because if you want to go into scenario mercado by mercado as to why you can't get rid of everybody all in the same window and bring in all new faces. You can't do that.
Of course not.
So if you want to get into this scenario, we can go back as many years as you want and figure this out. But that's besides the point, though. Still, I will concede, we're at a point now. It still comes back to the same thing. You have players that are not cut for the stripes. And that's why your identity is lost, because along the way, you accumulated too many and you couldn't make the moves when you needed to. You lost focus. And what started to fade was the mentality, because you started losing those guys and you were replacing them with equally as mentally tough and as prepared to play for Juve.
And it has to be said now.
Here's the thing. Mentality. People want to put it on Max, okay? If we're trying to put mentality and stuff on Max, because to some degree it is up to a coach, but at the end of the day, if you're playing and you're on the pitch, okay, if you're Moise Kean, you missed that first one, and Luca's gone. So
I think his Wi-Fi looked like it was cutting out.
Yeah. So here we go. Oh, okay. Figure it out there, Omer. Now, if we get to Max.
Did you kick me out?
Sorry, and Moise Kean. This is a mentality thing. If you're playing, you miss that first one that you need to bury. That's not on a coach what happens afterwards. That's up to the player to shake that one off and go and get the next one. But when you go and make another one, is that him just not being mentally strong enough to pick himself up after the misses? Or is that Max?
I think it's
if a player is getting marked out of a game, like Dybala on a couple this season got marked out of the game.
Yeah.
That's on him to figure out how to get himself more involved.
Right. Agreed.
If Vlahovic is out there and this back to goal thing isn't working, and Max says he's got to find a way to get himself more involved. We started seeing it last game. Drop off. Collecting the ball.
Yeah, you have to.
Getting involved. There comes a degree where you have to stop babying the players. And they have to pick it up. They have to have that. They have to know. Go ahead. No,
I agree. I agree. I think it's twofold. I think that we probably haven't discussed that enough. There is a problem mentality-wise with the team from the string of our early Champions League exits. Like, that's just one that you can point to there, right? Like, just showing kind of a continuity from season to season. Even we've had different coaches and it's kind of been the same, similar exit. Like, that's just one example of it. And I think that I would agree. Like, you sometimes, obviously the coach can't be on the field to score for the player. And I mean, like, Kean was a really strong example from yesterday. I know we've talked about him a lot, but I would still, in my personal opinion, I would still argue that it's a system that doesn't develop confidence for these players. Like, when you play the way we play, you can see it. And you can see it in players, in their frustration. We saw it in Vlahovic. We saw it in different players, is that it's not getting the best out of our players, so they don't feel I still think it's a lot to do with that. Is that one, like you said, though, there is a lot of responsibility the players should take for themselves. And we have seen a lack of mentality and a lack of leadership at a lot of points in this season. But I still think that player confidence, feeling that we can go out, dominate the other team, put goals past them, and win the game comfortably. Like, I feel like I haven't seen that this season still. And I still think it still comes down to, for me, our game approach that comes from the head of the team.
Can I add to that, Al?
Mike Tyson had the best statement ever, and it's 100% relevant in life as it is sports. Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the friggin' face, okay? So you can have whatever plan you want. You could say, this is what we're going to do to create a million chances, and this is how we're going to score all these goals. There's a second team on the field every single game. It's not so easy. So you can have whatever plan you want in place. When you get out there on the pitch, it can change like that. And the problem for Juventus is they don't have the players right now to react, to turn that around, to find the answers. Lex, you play. Luca's played. I've played.
Still play.
If you're having struggles on the pitch and you just can't shake somebody, you need to turn. Do you run to the sideline and ask your coach? Like, no, you have to have it up here. You have to have it up here to battle through, to figure out what you're going to do to get better. I'm tired of babying this roster.
Can I add on that, Al? Because I have a perfect
100%.
So I think, and I'm actually going to give Allegri credit here. I think we have to look at it almost in a different perspective. You have to think of the saying that, you're only as good as your weakest link. And I think what Max maybe has done this season, like if you look at your most improved players, it's the guys we didn't want to be our most, it's our worst guys, right? You look at Rugan, you look at MDS, you look at Rabiot. Those are guys we didn't want to improve, but maybe he's focusing on improving them. So the guys he doesn't need to focus on just should do their own thing, Like he doesn't go out there and tell, De Ligt what to do. You don't do that. De Ligt knows what to do, right? So, I mean, I know we've all said it. Max doesn't strategize the attacking phase. He just lets them go, right? But when you have players like Dusan, Paolo, obviously Chiesa is not there, guys like that, sometimes, I mean, sure, there's a structure, but if they're supposed to be world class, there's only so much you could say, Like when Ronaldo was around, and I'll say it how it is, when Ronaldo got marked out of a game, what did he do? He didn't go to cry to the coach. No, he pulled back and he got in the midfield and was active. Or he pulled in players around him as much as possible to allow his teammates to take the space, like Sal said 5 seconds ago. So I got to give it to Max, and maybe he's trying to play the opposite. Rather than trying to get the best from our best, maybe he's trying to get the best from our worst and let the other guys just do what they're good at. I mean, it sounds silly, but maybe he is trying to do that, and maybe that's why he's not doing well.
Well,
I don't know.
Part of the Max thing, I think, is not sticking to one thing this season.
100%. No continuity.
Okay. But we're kind of shining a light that there's multiple things going on. It's not just a simple fix, because there was a comment earlier that said, what's the solution? The truth is, there's no one simple answer.
Patience.
We now, if this hasn't been evident, there's not one manager that comes in and automatically fixes things immediately. You can't do that. It doesn't work like that. This roster can't be denied that in my opinion, it's pretty subpar for Juve standards.
I'll highlight KA's comment here. It's really well said, and it shines a light. Like guys that are starting for Juventus weren't even starters on other teams. Like what? This is so true.
There you go. So how can we be so hard on Max? The truth is you can't.
You can't.
I mean, there's far too much going on and far too much at play for this to be fixed immediately. The fact of the matter is we're in a transitional period, and we actually haven't dropped off too bad. We got to make the right moves. We got to make the smart moves and figure out what to do. But this season's pretty much dusted. Okay. Coppa Italia. I don't care how. Okay. I don't care how. Figure it out. Get the job done. Okay. Trophy list will come into should Juventus, which I don't think it's going to happen. Okay. But should they drop that game and it's a trophy list, you'll get more of the Max out. You'll get more of the Max out things and all this. And to be honest, whether it's trophy list or not, you have to commit at some point. Okay. For me, next season is the breaking point for Max Allegri and Juventus.
Oh yeah, no, we've said it. You give him next season, but if it doesn't work out next season, you cut him quick and you run him. You run.
Yeah. I think next season, let's see what we can do in the summer or whatnot, but we can't continue to just push one side or the other. And I think that's become evident in this discussion today. You can't push just the coach and you can't push just the players. The truth is all of it needs to come together. And right now there's a lot of things lacking in Juventus. But the mentality, all this, the identity, changing it. I do agree. I think we need to land on something and go with it and build it and give it time. Because this season, we all agreed, it felt like from one game to the next, you didn't know what we were going to do, what we were going to try, who we were going to play like, what we were going to be. It feels like a mismatch, right? Like we were just freewheeling. We freewheeled a lot of this season. And ultimately, Max, his mentality, his management style, he's very objective oriented and doesn't really look too much into any of that other stuff. So we'll see what ends up happening. It's
let's move on. I think
it's a frustrating one, right? Because there are no simple answers. Everybody wants a simple answers. We just had Tafik there or whatever for a whole discussion, just drop Max. The truth is it isn't just Max, and he was getting upset in the live chat because we were picking on Keane or whatnot, but this is the reality. Take Keane out of the equation. Just take the players in general. This team is not scoring goals even in games where we continue to get those chances, because there's been games where, like you and I have all wanted, we get a lot of chances, we generate a lot, and
we still can't bury them.
Finishing.
Yeah.
They're not seeing it home. There's no killer instinct. You got to put it all together. There's a lot of work to be done at Juventus. Patience is something we haven't been blessed with because we've been dominating for, a decade. So patience is something we don't have.
You hear that, Lex? We don't have patience. We don't got time for that.
Said. You were saying, what's the solution? I said patience.
We ain't got time.
We don't have it
now.
We don't have it. I'm fine with saying it. I don't have it. I expect and want this team to be in there all the time, but
I want that Coppa. I don't care. I want that.
I want that Coppa.
All I ask. Actually, here's the answer, guys. What's the one good thing that Max has done this season? He got us to a final. Even if we lose, he got us to the final.
You're right. That's an answer.
There's your positive for the
Hopefully day. We'll be saying and got us the trophy.
So
next pod.
Rumors coming out today that potentially Locatelli, might see some minutes in that game, but he's not going to be starting. It's not going to be anything like that. Don't expect that to see him out there. So if anybody's banking on that, maybe a few towards the end. Positive sign that he's getting back like that, but honestly, don't expect it. Moise Keane took a knock. That might have been, what some were using as an excuse for him to miss that last one. We talked about that. He'd probably be out, but I wouldn't expect him to start anyways. Honestly, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, all this, I don't care. Just get the job done, but 4-2-3-1.
I don't care. Just can win the game.
4-2-3-1 like we did it the first time, but just go out and punish them. Just get it done. Storm the barn, everybody. Get your questions in. We got a little bit of time left. We're going to get into this and get into it right now and get your questions. There's been a lot, and we tried to tackle it in the discussion I always keep tabs on what comes in as we're going through, and I think we've tackled a lot of it. It's very, very difficult, but let's see it here. Would you be okay with 4th place next season? No.
Why? Who asked that question? Del,
I'm not okay with 4th place this season. I mean, I'm happy that we're in a Champions League qualification spot, but I always look beyond, right? I mean, and this is what I talked a lot about as of late. You got to have the expectations, the ambitions, whatnot can't change for Juventus, in my personal opinion. We can be realistic about where we fall and whatnot, and that's fine. But next season, there's no way we go into that season thinking, another 4th place. Like, we just got to get in top 4. No, like, I expect a strong summer, and now Max to build off. And we can argue. I think the argument lies how much is there to build off of.
Build off what?
But I expect progress to be made. And to his credit, if that intermatch goes the other way, and it was one of our best performances in terms of team play and everything like that, we took the game to them, didn't get the result. But if that game goes the other way, we're in that Scudetto mix, guys. So it's up. But would you be okay with 4th place? No. We're all on the same page on that one.
No, actually, let me change my answer. No, and I'm going to keep it nice because I don't want to drop an F-bomb on the pod, but it's not no, it's F no. Please continue. All right.
Let's go.
What does SBB stand for?
Storm the barn. Lex, any progress on the new name? Wait. New name? Oh, yeah.
Who cares? No offense. Lex, I adore you, but like, Alex, bro, what does this have to do with anything?
Maybe. We'll see. Got some floating around. Got La Alexa, Look Alexa. We'll see if we get Raspadori, maybe. I don't know.
Raspalex?
Raspexa? Whoa, what?
Raspalexa?
Oh my God.
We'll
Okay.
see. We'll see, Alex.
Doesn't roll off the same
Why
way.
do players assume to play backwards on the wings whenever the ball is coming towards them? Why don't they look
This is
forward?
a good question. Because I said it in our chat yesterday. There was multiple times where Rabiot was in a great position on the wing, and he just turns around. Juan Cuadrado, the same thing. Like, why are you turning around? We're attacking. Don't slow down the play.
Where's Taufik? Is that Max's fault?
Oh, that's just the guys being idiots.
Exactly. And this is, again, why I want to point out the pictures. Like, our left side is so bad, and it has been bad all season.
Keane and MDS, the first half was like brain farts on brain farts.
Dude, our left,
So
this is what I mean. We can say whatever we want about Max and what we want more out of him. This roster, this lineup this team is unbalanced, like massively. And you don't have a proper driving, attacking midfielder. Like, you don't have that. There's as credit as should be given to Miretti, as I think he did well in both his showings. Does that not highlight a problem that a 19-year-old can step in there and give us something we don't have out of our main guys on a team like Juventus?
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what I brought that up before.
Where's Taufik? Come on, man.
You wanted continuity. You had the 19-year-old who was more than able to play that position. Why didn't we play him?
Will the Champions League come to Turin next year? Are they playing the final at the Allianz? I'm kidding. Come on. I'm always going to say yes.
I wasn't even sure about that. I don't know how to answer that.
Come on.
I don't even
Isn't there actually, isn't the final being played there next year for women's?
The women's this season.
This season. There you go. This season, women's
Lyon
final.
against Barcelona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
Our women's team's up right now 3-1 on Sassuolo.
There we go. There's some good news. The women are just...
The women are better than the men.
And we need at least 1 point, and we clinch the Scudetto. So
yeah, look at all the Storm. These guys are just on fire in the live chat now with the Storm the Barn. Let's
Where
go.
Are our team members?
Which player has the best mentality and characteristics to be captain next season?
You guys answered this yesterday, though.
Yeah, Delict.
But I want to say my part, and I want Lex to say her part. So Lex go.
We don't have time for you, Luca, but Lex, your part.
That's fine.
I'm just kidding.
No, Luca, go. You have yours prepared. Go ahead.
Prepared. Oh, damn.
Luca, go ahead.
Go.
Which player has the best mentality and characteristics? Obviously, Matthijs de Ligt. Would he be the captain? No, because it's going to end up being Bonucci. But what I see next season, realistically, is probably Bonucci is going to be head captain with either Cuadrado and de Ligt as assistants or as vice captains.
I think we might be possibly not getting Bonucci as captain. Maybe it is de Ligt. Danilo's got to be somewhere in the vices for me.
If you're basing it off what he said this year, though, it has to be Leo because of caps. It's the only thing.
Danilo's got to be in there as one of the vice captains for me. And then from there, the second one, probably Quad one. Bonucci can get a vice, but I think like it's time to also start ushering in that next step, that next wave, that whatnot. So if it's going to happen, Bonucci maybe gets another year with us, maybe another 2, but I see him going into that Chiellini role of this year where it's, maybe some big ones here and there that he steps in and plays, but let's start moving, into that next wave. And why waste the time of a year or 2? Just give it to de Ligt if we're going to do that. So I would do that route. Lex?
Yeah, I would agree. I think what Luca said will probably happen given what we've done in the past, but I'd like to see de Ligt probably take that.
What do you guys think? Sorry. What do you think?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
What do you think of Locatelli in there in the mix? I see him maybe not next season, but with time. Obviously, there's guys above him in seniority as Danilo, Cuadrado. Hopefully, Sandro's not there anymore, but I see Locatelli with the same characteristics. I could see him right after de Ligt.
Yeah, I'd like to see that for sure.
Ryan, what does STB say? Storm the Barn. It's our questions segment where everybody on the live, everybody's just automatically knows and just puts STB. It's Storm the Barn. Storm the Barn.
Let it be known, I was never a fan, but
John Stewart has a great one. Do you think Taufik is actually Nedved just grieving his frustration?
No,
yes,
Nedved
100%.
doesn't have time for us.
100%. That's who it was. Okay, Jeremiah, we'll try and tackle a couple more before wrap up. We got time for a couple more. How would you guys feel if management sacks Max and signs Zidane?
Lex?
It's probably won't happen. But I mean,
You said, how would you feel if?
how would I feel? I would probably go for it. I mean, there's a toss up between lacking continuity, another manager change, getting someone with the different mentality involved. I don't know. That's a tough question to answer.
Oh, for me, it's a simple question. It's a very simple answer. I don't think it's a right move, but if they did it, I'd be happy. I've always wanted Zidane.
I say no.
They didn't say yes or no. It's how do you feel?
Oh.
I feel like it's a no from me. If they sack Max this summer and sign Zidane, we've learned nothing about the past 3 years.
Exactly. It's not a good move, but what would you?
It's not about bringing in Zidane, because maybe you bring in Zidane later or whatnot. But like, honestly, even Zidane himself, is Zidane the guy to do this build, do this project? Probably not.
We don't know.
There's nothing there that. Yeah, I don't know. I look at the team Zidane had, and I'm not thinking that's where we're at right now. If we had a ton of high profile talent and we needed to manage them and had to get that going, maybe Zidane. But right now, building youngsters and whatnot, and even Max is under the same criteria. He's under the same criticisms. I don't know.
We've got at least 4 superstars on our team.
I don't know. What are your trophy priorities next season? Serie A.
I want
100% the gate, because it's going to take time to get back into the European contenders mix, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, Lex?
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Scudetto.
If Conte goes to Paris next season and Poch becomes available, would you make the change? If it were up to you to stay or as we are, I don't make the change for Poch.
I never wanted. I remember like when he was in the mix. Was it when we were looking at?
I wouldn't mind it at that time, but I think now we've kind of seen
Max, and because we saw him with that team, he still hasn't
could have dodged a bullet there.
Yeah.
No Poch.
Matthew Montesano, most important acquisition: Regista or Mezzala? Mezzala for me.
Mezzala.
But
Locatelli could play Regista, so
yeah.
Sorry, Lex.
Depends what we want to play.
No, but you got to look at what we have already. Locatelli could clearly play Regista without a problem.
I have a question for you two that came up yesterday on Matchday Live, and I have a question for everybody on the live. If it's a matter of losing Fagioli and him not renewing with Juventus, if we don't make him a part of the team next season, do you make him a part of the team next season? Because it's still being said that he might be out on loan next year with Cremonese since they gained Serie A promotion.
Wait, what? So if
make
him part of the first team?
You might not renew Fagioli because he might want to leave if he's not part of the first team next season.
Okay. If
it's a matter of losing Fagioli, do you automatically integrate him into Juventus next season? Or do you run the risk of losing him and not renewing him?
He's a good player, but I'd run the risk. He's not Milinkovic-Savic. Like, I'd be okay with losing. At one point, we're going to lose a youth player. We've got all these young guys that are all hyped up. One of them is going to leave us somewhere at some point.
I don't think I'd run the risk of losing him, to be honest. Lex?
I don't think I would run the risk either.
Yeah. Because if he's not going to accept, if he wants to renew with Juventus and it's a matter of bringing him in like the rumors state, I think I'd find a way to bring him in there just to be with that team. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
It's tough.
I'd love him to be around, but the reality is
lose.
Look, I want him there. I'm not saying he's not good, but is he going to come and start for us? No, he's going to be on the bench. He's barely going to play like Miretti does. So it's the reality of it. If it was Pirlo or someone in charge who actually gave guys chances, I'd say otherwise. But Max has shown other than what we expected. So I'm going with the trend.
I don't know. Dell's saying same thing. You don't think there's space for him in team. Maybe try to get 15, 20 mil. But the thing is, there's a lot of question marks there. If you bring him in, it saves you this, and you can make a better splash.
Agreed. But you still got to dump two or three others. So it depends on our market. It really does.
But that's probably going to happen regardless.
So bring him in. Give him a chance. See what happens.
I think so. I think so. We got time, probably one last one. Jeremiah, do you see us struggling versus Inter in the final? Be honest. Let's finish up with our thoughts going into the final, how we think it's going to be and what we think is going to happen. Let's start with Lex.
Ooh, I hope I don't see us struggling. I think that will play up to the expectation, given that it's a final. And I think that Inter is kind of battling for the Scudetto as well right now. They have other things on their mind. Then they also have this final midweek as well to worry about. I think that given that our season's pretty much over for the league, I think that we have a chance to kind of like step in and shock them. I think it all seriously depends on if our players show up on the occasion and don't play like yesterday and about also how we approach the game. I hope to see a similar approach to how we were successful against Inter last time we played them. However, this time some more clinical finishing and I want to win that trophy against them. Good point from this comment.
Luca, how do you feel it's going to go?
Look, the reality is that Inter isn't looking great. We've seen their flaws. They dropped 2 goals in a matter of like 10 minutes yesterday. But they're also going into that game in better form. They also came back and won that game, whereas we didn't. So, yeah, there's a chance for us to win. There always is. We are Juventus, and Inter is not the best team in Italy. I will say it. But right now, they're in better form. They're clicking better. They've got much better continuity, and their mentality is leaps and bounds above ours. So I think we will struggle. Very much so. It worries me because we had our chances to beat Inter, we still haven't done it, and it's a final, so it's not like it's going to change much.
We need to beat a top 4 team.
We still haven't, so that's my point. I'd be grateful if it happens this week. Don't get me wrong, but I think we struggle. Definitely struggle.
It's going to be a tough match. It's always going to be a tough match, regardless of where these teams sit. Any season, it's always tough. It's Inter versus Juve. It is the biggest rivalry. It's since 2006. It's been crazy. And where Juventus sits right now, there is a bit of a mental block and a mental hurdle that they need to overcome, which will actually be in favor of Inter. Regardless if I agree with Andre there saying that, Inter hasn't really impressed either as of late, which is true, but still there is more obstacles for Juve, I feel, but we can build off the last showing against them and realize that we should have won that game. I think if they follow the same mold, they can do some damage. There's a lot of emotions that are going to be a part of that too, with Chiellini moving on, with Dybala moving on, and there's going to be a lot going on. So it can really go either way. The extra added emotions on top of some mental instability from Juventus could cause us to crumble. The emotional side could cause us to pick everything up and go out there and get that trophy for Dybala leaving and for Chiellini leaving and everything as well. So it's really a tough one to predict. And they're always tough to predict just simply because of the Derby d'Italia, right? It's a tough one. I don't know. I'm going to say, though, that I'm going to say right now, Juventus gets that trophy. I don't see this being trophyless. I think it's going to be a nice little sign off and farewell for those guys. Is it going to come easy? Hell no. Nothing's come easy this season, and probably not going to come easy next season as well. There's a lot of work to be done at this club, but let's end the season on that high and bring that trophy home. And more importantly, leave a jersey collector like me not upset that I don't have one badge on the kit. Collection. I got to have a badge on the kit. Bring me that Coppa Italia badge, okay? Everybody, been an absolute pleasure. Hope you enjoyed. Okay. Obviously, I'll be back with the news updates and we'll get you going right up until that Coppa Italia final. We'll be doing a match day live and then, of course, post-match podcast where hopefully we can celebrate a trophy. Like the video. Okay. Subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't subscribed, obviously do so because all subscribers are entered to win the away Vlahovic kit. Okay. And then make sure you take the time to check out the sponsor, stripedheartsapparel.com. It's got a ton of custom Juve fan merch out right now. The crew necks are no joke. I rocked that thing yesterday. It's one of my favorite pieces already. Okay, so make sure you show some love. Everybody, if you've been tuning into audio, what the hell are you waiting for? Get over to YouTube and subscribe. Everybody, Again, big thanks in the live. You guys are always fantastic. And the show, the channel, everything, it is what it is because of all of you. So massive thank you. I want to tell everybody too, before the season wraps up, kind of towards the end, planning a big show where we can hopefully have the entire team pop up periodically, and we'll do a big live where you guys can all come in. We'll have some fun. We'll do a season wrap and probably have some giveaways too. So stay tuned for that. As always, no matter what, frustrations or not, never let something out of your control ruin your days. Enjoy the rest of your weekends, Juventini, okay? And as always, fino alla fine, Forza Juve. Thanks, Lex. Luca. Fantastic. I was going to say
Lucci.
The name, but you changed it and you confused me. I was going to throw out the Laniel Ducci.
Laniel.
That's okay. Ciao tutti.